Mr. Vice Chairman, Sir, by moving this bill for consideration, my honourable friend has raised a very important question affecting public life. There could be absolutely no matter of doubt that the corruption in public life have become rampant. As a result of this, people in public have become great suspects. In a seminar which I was attending on code of conduct for public men, somebody observed that once a man becomes a minister, occupies a seat of power, for generations his economic problems are solved. It may be an exaggerated statement, but it has been our sad experience that people who have come occupied high positions in public life, who have become ministers, members of parliament, or members of legislatures, have overnight become affluent persons. This may not be true of all members of parliament, this may not be true of all members of legislatures, this may not be true of all ministers, but quite a large number of them have overnight become so affluent that it becomes really difficult for any man to understand how the man becomes so affluent. The whole thing becomes a mystery to the common man, and the character and integrity of the person concerned becomes highly suspect. I know, sir, that it would be too much to expect the same standard of public behavior as we had during the days of Ramayana. Those who were in charge of administration, those who were occupying the highest office, put themselves to the highest form of test, the highest form of ordeal. Can there be any doubt that public life, if so much corrupted today, that we have all become suspect? In fact, the people have also come jealous of the members of parliament. They say somehow one has to become a member of parliament or a member of legislature or somehow come closer to the corridors of power. Why do they say this? Because they see the sudden change in the outlook, the behavior, the kind of living of a particular individual. But, sir, the solution in this problem, of course, of corruption in public life may not be like instant coffee. The solution may be very difficult. In fact, this was pointed out by the Santhanam Committee itself. In its report, it made certain recommendations that a certain code of conduct should be there and that shall be a solution to end corruption in public life. What has actually troubled us is the variance between precept and practice in this country. When we discuss the philosophy, we rise to Himalayan heights, and when it is a question of personal life, we go to the abysmal depth of the Arabian Sea. There is so much variance between precept and practice in this country that even if a particular individual might be trying to adhere to the precepts, he also becomes suspect because the general atmosphere is one of suspicion. In that context, sir, I feel that something has got to be done to restore the confidence of the people in the members of parliament, in the members of legislatures, and in the ministers. Now, my friend made a suggestion that after all, we are all answerable to the people in this country, and when representatives come through elections and people vote for them, this is a sure proof of the people's confidence in these elected representatives. I would respectfully differ from my friend on this kind of a diagnosis or analysis of the problem that electorally everything can be solved. The problem of human character, human integrity, human behavior, morality cannot be solved by an electoral process. There have been men in the world who are of great moral stature, men of great character and integrity, but they never won an election. Are we not aware of Sri Raja Gopalachari, who was a man of great character and integrity? Nothing can be said against him. He was a man of high moral stature. But he never won an election. He was also defeated in an election. Let us not try to beguile of ourselves by saying that by our being electorally established, our character is established, our integrity is established, our moral standard is established. After all, the kind of electoral system that we have in this country itself corrupts the entire political system, the entire politics in this country. How many of us can claim that we limit ourselves to the amount prescribed in the Representation of the People Act? When we contest an election, which member of parliament does not spend above that amount? How many of us file a true return in compliance with the provisions of the Representation of the People Act? Most of the candidates file false returns, and this has been taken as an accepted way of life. Therefore, we should not expect that once it is electorally established that somebody has been elected, he must automatically be deemed to be a man of character, a man of integrity, and so on and so forth. Such a proposition, at least I personally cannot accept it. Sir, I was trying to say that the resolution, as my friend has referred adverts to these three aspects consequent on the various pulling. The resolution seeks to condemn certain statements made by the leading members of the government, and the statements are attributed to as though encroaching upon the jurisdiction of the Election Commission. As the mover of the resolution put it, the independence of the Election Commission, that is the second aspect, and the third aspect is a suggestion flowing from the erosion, as it calls it, or the independence of the Election Commission, so that a parliamentary committee could be set up to review the election laws and suggest appropriate reforms. The issue of electoral reforms has also been discussed at length, and many a speaker has generally spoken about the electoral reforms. While I will make my submissions with reference to the electoral reforms in general, with reference to some of the speakers who have adverted to the various aspects of the reforms, I feel it duty bound to also meet some of the points which have been raised by the honorable members here, particularly with reference to the Election Commission, and also about certain irregularities which they have brought to the notice of this House that had taken place in the repoll at several places. Sir, a broader aspect and highlighting the aspect of the independence of the Election Commission has chosen to speak on a broader aspect and painted a picture on the wider canvas as to the erosion of all the parliamentary democratic institutions in this country. I would not like to become emotional as he did, but I would certainly advert to the aspects on which I feel that he was very much uncharitable. Sir, what was stated was that the cabinet system of the government was sought to be stifled, the institution of judiciary was sought to be tempered and cramped, and it was also said that the entire parliamentary system was sought to be totally neglected or negated by us. And in the ultimate analysis, he proceeded to concentrate on the erosion of the authority of the Chief Election Commissioner. But I never expected from the mover of the resolution, whom I had heard a little, that he would go to the extent of saying that actions that we on this side are seeking to restore only to negative parliamentary democracy. Sir, I do not know what he meant by a big phrase of stifling the cabinet system of the government by us. Well, phrases could be coined, but the realities must speak for themselves. I was trying to understand from him as to whether he was going to paraphrase his expression so that I could meet it squarely on the points that he would put forth. I must say, and I will say with a little authority that is at my command, that on no form did we try at any point of time to stifle the cabinet system of government in this country, and I am on record, sir, in this house itself, when the debate did crop up twice on the basis of the statement of one ex-chief minister and the basis of the statement of one ex-chief minister and the other chief minister, that I had categorically stated that there was nothing, so far as this government was concerned, to think in terms of presidential form of government. Notwithstanding my statement, a person who is a part and parcel of the present government, or a person who is a spokesman of the government apparatus of the day of the mover of the resolution, would still like to do a little bit of ideal flying on the basis of some of the statements of persons who do not have their own contribution in the formulation of the policies of the government of India. I cannot help it. I beg to leave the matter there. If he wants to use it, and if he has used it by way of a spice in his argument, that is a matter for him to taste it and see how much it tastes. As far as we are concerned, we did not, and I should say that we, so far as our leader is concerned, at no point of time did she either encourage or speak in this issue at all. If you would like to read too much, if you would like to believe only in the false and wrong propaganda, nobody can help you in the matter. You are to express yourself, to repeat like a parrot whatever you would. I would not like to answer on what I have already said on this issue. Sir, a very vague expression, an expression which could perhaps attract the attention of some of the intellectuals and also the newspapers, namely tempering of the judicial independence, was also raised. I am not sure I would have made a little enquiry, which I did not. I must frankly confess that it was merely a propagandist approach, raise the issue and say whatever you like.